It's tough.
And did you tell her that you look like Andy Garcia?
No, not yet, but I will.
Show a picture of Andy Garcia because you look like
I know,
him. Like,
right here. Once again, he's another person in my life that helped open the doors and fuel my career. Dave Haver, he introduced me to everybody. We'd go to the racetracks, and it's almost like he'd introduce me like one of his own, like his son, and
That's
it's like,
insane.
which was cool because a lot of people of my age and my ethnicity, they don't get those kind of opportunities. So I've always felt that I had to be very serious about it and not disappoint.
Yeah.
So I've always been under a lot of pressure to perform and to prove people wrong, to prove people right.
You still feel the pressure today?
No, I think that pressure has always, I've always found a way to like use that in a positive. Failure is part of growth.
For sure.
Right? So you have to fail. But I've used those failures to help me understand what I need to do different. From there, we with Dave, I worked on building racing engines. We'd go to the track. We were subcontracted, right? So we worked for multiple race teams.
Wow.
I got fortunate enough to have an opportunity to work for a gentleman named Monty Burney. He owned the world's fastest all-steel 55 Chevy Bel Air.
No way.
And here I am at like 19, 20 years old in his multi-million-dollar house working on his car. You know what I mean?
Beautiful feeling.
And it's just like, it just felt surreal because I mean, for me, it never felt like work.
Yeah.
So I bought it when I was 26 years old.
26 years old.
I was 26. The owner had passed away. His wife agreed to sell us the shop. And the only thing that changed was, obviously the responsibilities, the bills, and having your own shop at 26 is pretty cool. It's like, and at the time I was heavy into customizing cars, and during the day work on customer cars, and 5 o'clock when the door closed, I would work on friends' cars or clients' cars that had muscle cars, and we would do upgrades to engine, transmission, brakes, rims, tires, like everything. We would just customize, and that was where I kept grooming my passion for like customized vehicles, especially muscle cars. I love lowriders and muscle cars. I love all cars really, like but primarily muscle cars. Unfortunately, cars come and go. I always felt like I had to sell a car in order to get another one, right?
Okay, so you cannot like.
So I can't have all of them. I don't have it like that. And there are times where I think of cars that I wish I never sold, but.
Which one? Tell me, what's your biggest regrets in terms of like a car that you sold?
I had a 1971 split bumper Camaro.
No way.
It was two-tone, black and red. It had like 5-spoke muscle car wheels on it. It was a beautiful car, and I guess to circle back, that shop that I had, the building was being sold. I pretty much had, my lease was over at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And in San Francisco, it's difficult to find another automotive repair shop with the right lease.
Okay.
Typically you want a 5+5, meaning I'm going to start with a 5-year lease, and at the end of that lease, I want to take on the option of another 5 if I choose to. Ideally, that's the right move, right? You don't want to be somewhere for a year or two and then now you have to move again. And that's kind of what the case was. So crappy time in my life. I had a few personal things were happening, or like literally right around the same time. It was kind of hard to not feel down on my luck. It's just everything came crashing down all at once, and I tried not to feel like I'm a loser and I lost it all and I'm a failure. But that experience is what helped me get this dealership job.
Okay.
But before that, I did work for a couple competitors, and I worked at a couple independent shops. It's tough when you go from owning your own shop
to like going
to working, especially for your competitor. Man, it's just like
you don't feel good about yourself, I suppose, right?
No, but I still had to pay some bills, so I put my pride aside, and luckily, like, my competitor is also a good friend of mine too. So he's not necessarily a competitor; it's more of a saying. He was a shop that technically was our competitor, but great guy, name's Dale. He worked on Saabs just like we do, you know, the Swedish brand Saabs.
Yeah.
As Saabs were dying, the owner, before he passed away, he decided to take on Subarus. So we were working on Saabs and Subarus. So that's where my experience with Subarus came from, is when he took on that brand, and then I was a technician back then, so I was working on them, and that's why I'm very familiar with them. It was easy to transition to Subaru because I already know how to work on them.
So you would say that your craft, your expertise on Subaru, is that what got you into the dealership world, right? And you joined that.
Right. It just coincidentally happened to be that the dealership had a Subaru store. I started on the Volkswagen side.
Okay.
So it's kind of like full circle that now I'm the service director of that Volkswagen side too.
Okay.
That one of those independent shops that I worked at, the advisor there, her name's Jelena, still one of my best friends till this day. This is a story that if you ever really question if there ever is a higher power, this story will kind of confirm that, you know. And I remember being so down on my luck, and I was literally using up all my savings and obviously not happy where I was in my life at that moment, you know, close down my shop and working for my competitor and working for other shops and not being happy where I'm at. I remember saying to myself, I was like, man, if there is a higher power out there, man, I'm begging you, you know, I'm help, you know, I'm really asking for the help, you know. I'm not super religious, you know. I did grow up Catholic, but you know, that's just something that your parents choose for you, you know. That as an adult you get to make your own decisions, right? So, but I remember sitting there and just thinking, I'm like, man, if there really is someone out there that is a higher power, I'm asking for your help. And this was the night before. Man, the next morning, Jelena, she called me. She said, hey, do you want to be a service advisor? You need a job? I'm like, you know,
What the hell?
I was like, wow. I'm like, okay. So, you know,
beautiful.
obviously it gives you kind of the chills, and, you know, you go to sleep crying, thinking, man, like I need some help. And that prayer was answered the very next morning. I interviewed down there, and I got the position for internal service writer, which is like hourly, and I didn't know anything about computers. I worked on cars my whole career.
Yeah.
You know, I was in the shop and never really had to be forward facing with customers. So being able to adjust, it took some time, because now instead of turning wrenches, I'm banging on keyboards and trying to learn programs that I'm not
the same
familiar.
way you use your hands.
No. It was quite the adjustment, you know, and very persistent, very stubborn. And there's days that I would stay 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, I have to learn this program. You know, CDK is what we use for our dealer management system, and that's primarily what we use, and we still use to this day. So I told myself, I'm not gonna stop until I figure this out.
For a young technician out there listening to us, what would you tell him?
You're gonna get out what you put in it. Being able to invest in yourself is the most important thing. If you're just gonna do the 9 to 5, that's great. It's just gonna take you a lot longer. Being a good technician happens in and out of work. You know, you hone your craft outside of work, possibly working on your own car, your friends' cars, because you're gonna break some shit. The goal is to only do it once. You know, just like I did in my career. Trust me, I've broken several things. Those are experiences that you never want to relive, especially if your boss isn't maybe as nice as I can be. You know, invest in yourself financially, read books, get into courses, get into, you know, completing ASCs. The technicians that really max out their careers, they're a lot more book smart.
Yeah.
Diagnostic work, electrical work, just like one of the most hardest things to learn. I've seen different levels of technicians throughout the year. I like to see them advance. Like I said, if you don't invest in yourself, you're not gonna get it.
Because people are like, hey, I've been doing this 10 years, I deserve it. You say that it's not about that.
The technicians that I have that have been there for 10 years are senior master technicians.
Yeah.
All right, they've been there, have all their training, they have all their ASCs, they're at the top of the top. So if you want to make you know, $50, $60, $75 an hour, but yet all you have to offer is just, you know, maintenance work and a little bit of R&R and heavier jobs, I mean, that can only go so far.
Yeah.
Even my 10-year guys, they're still going to training. They're still having to learn new stuff. But or just try to focus on being a specialist in something. Not every shop is going to have 10, 15, 20 senior master technicians. It's like having 5 Steph Currys out on the court and then another 10 sitting on the court. Like, no, it's just not realistic. That doesn't work that way. But having guys that you can lean on, where no matter what you give them, they can get it done. That's huge for a shop.
Yeah.
The people that I give opportunities to, that's the only thing I ask of them.
Yeah.
Is that one day when you become that person in that position, that you extend the olive branch and you teach the next generation.
Okay, what's your favorite music, man?
Music, man.
Your song. Come on, you need to give me some.
Man, I mean, I listen to anywhere from gangster rap to country music, man. I'm.
Okay, what are you in the mood right now on this road? Or I'm putting Taylor Swift again.
No.
I'll put some Taylor Swift for you.
No, I love Taylor Swift. I mean, one of my favorite songs is Summer Madness, but it has no lyrics to it. That's from Kool and the Gang. Summer Madness is just, it's all instrumental, but if you listen to this as loud as you can, man, you just feel it.
Okay, let's do it.
It's just smooth.
It's a nice road, so let's get it. I know that one. I never knew it was the name of it.
Yeah, Summer Madness.
Oh, I know it. Oh my God.
But it's just kind of a weird feeling. The people around you start to get a little older, and like last year I lost my father, and that was it's been difficult, to not have him here anymore, not being able to talk to him, and it's been quite the adjustment. My wife and kids keep me going, because now I'm dad. They look up to me for the advice and the help, and it's tough too, because I feel like more recently I'm losing the people in my life that they were my go-to people to talk to when I needed someone to talk to. So now I have to depend more on myself and my decisions. So everything that bad happens in my life, I try to find the silver lining in it. I try to find positivity in it and preach that. There's always good in the bad. You just have to find it. It sucks. It's part of life, man. We're all gonna get there one day.
I mean, I experienced death as well, and it's the single greatest learning experience.
Yeah.
It's weird, right? But like, you go through it and you learn more about yourself, about your family, and the things that matter.
You know what the biggest killer is?
Yeah.
It's your ego.
I agree.
Right? And then when someone's gone and you realize, what were we ever fighting about in the first place? Or I'll tell you one thing I did with my dad, and maybe you, especially the platform that you have right now. I know a lot of times parents don't really open up to their kids because they don't want to worry them, right?
Yeah.
There's times where kids don't know much about their parents, right? So with my dad, when I started seeing the very early stages of his dementia, I said, man, I got to know more about my dad, right? Because one day I would hate to live on my life and not have questions about him. You know what I mean? I would be upset with myself thinking, not knowing the answers, like what was my dad like,
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I had these long conversations with my dad, and I set up my phone where he didn't see them. I wanted these to be candid moments with my dad. I didn't want him to know I was recording him. I recorded a couple hours worth of, several conversations that I had over a period of time. He didn't know, and I asked him questions, and he actually opened up and spoke to me and gave me the answers to a lot of these questions that I had. And I didn't watch him until the day he passed away. I sat there and I reflected on him, and it just, I obviously cried in happiness because I'm proud of him. And it's just something that I've been telling people to do with their parents is don't live your life wondering about it. When they're there, they're capable and they can answer you. At least do your best to try to get some of those questions answered. It's the same thing in our careers now. It's like when I tell these people, my technicians and my employees, a different perspective from like management or ownership and this, and they're like, I never looked at it that way. I'm like, that's why we do the things we do. And I like to explain those things because it's necessary. I need you to see things from a different point of view to understand why things are where they are, and it'll help you pull in the same direction with me once you understand them. But do that with your dad, man. One story that he told me, it just brought me to tears. He came up here with no money. Every time they stopped coming from Mexico, they would go out, have a break, grab a bite to eat, and he stayed on the bus. He had no money. And one gentleman said, hey man, I'm noticing you're not getting off the bus. Are you okay? Like, aren't you gonna eat? He's like, I don't have any money. He's like, I don't have a lot of money either, but here, I'll break bread with you, you know? And that person I'll never meet, but I'm very thankful for. I had my daughter at a very early age, at 16 years old. Okay, so I've always, once again, back to those pressures, is that I had to provide at an early age. Most kids my age aren't thinking about being a father. They're just worried about... When I was
16, I was definitely not thinking about that.
Exactly. So that's also what has fueled me. You know, my oldest daughter has been such a blessing to me because, you know, at the same time, I didn't have my head on a swivel back then, you know, and I tell her, and it's taken her some time to understand when I've told her, hey, you saved my life, literally saved my life, because the direction that I felt I was heading in was not a positive one, obviously, you know, kind of fighting those, so to say, demons, and then also trying to take my career seriously. So she saved my life in a very positive way, and it matured me very quickly. And that also helped with my career, and also understanding that I need something more consistent. So when I got out of the racing, I ended up working for a gentleman that had a small independent shop. One of my best friends helped me get in there, and that shop, I started from the bottom. You know, I was just literally car washer, oil changer, you know, just doing the very, very basics. Now, racing and routine maintenance work are two different worlds. You know, I mean, there's similarities, but it's nothing alike. Switching my focus on racing to maintenance work was easy, but it also was just not as fun.
Another culture.
It's not as fun, obviously.
There's not like the race that you gotta win, right?
It's like there's not. Steady. It's just steady, and that's what I understood, and I explained to myself, like, I need some money and consistent money. You know what I mean? It's like the fun and games are over now. Switch my focus on something that's more consistent, and it's tough, you know.
And did you tell her that you look like Andy Garcia?
No, not yet. But I will
show a picture of Andy Garcia because you look like him.
Right here. Now that the manufacturer is requiring video multi-point inspections, that's when I thought, I'm like, maybe we can kind of shift gears and focus on that first, while simultaneously you're working on developing the diagnostic side of things, right? And now I'm excited because it's coming at the right time. You know, our district parts and service manager has been applying a lot of pressure because we're not doing anything. When the customers asked, did they provide you a video multi-point inspection, they're putting no, or percentages are terrible right now. Yeah. But I did, you know, you've met them, and as I promised them, I said, eventually it's going to come, and it's going to come in hot. You know, our goal is to be at as close to 100% as possible. You being at the dealership in real time, understanding what our needs are and how we're moving is what's going to make this product fantastic. Involved in helping you almost feels like it's being personalized for me, but at the same time, keeping all dealerships in mind and all their needs, because I'm sure it's the same thing. We're always pressed for time. We have to meet or exceed the manufacturer's requirements. Clean video and the AI narration is huge, because that, back when we were doing video MPIs consistently, getting guys that don't really want to speak much, because their whole careers, all they've been having to do is just wrench on cars and perform. I mean, yes, you do communicate. Recording a video does require structure, right? But that's not what their job is. You know, I didn't hire them to become movie stars. I hired them to work on cars. The AI narration is, to me, what the game changer is. So all that's huge. I mean, I'm just excited to finally, you know, bring it to light and actually start applying it every day, 100% of the time. And you know, just you being able to have customers at your fingertips that you can ask questions to, like you said, all in real time. Yeah. We go from the shop to showing it to the customer, you know, in another room, and saying, look, this is what we just made for you. What does this do for you? Yeah. You know, and getting that feedback, that real-time feedback is huge, you know, and then it's like, that's where I believe in it. And that's where I'm glad I can help, is that I'm opening the doors to my dealership so that you can make this product great. I want this out for everybody. You know, even we've discussed how can we turn this into, or you can present this for independent shops, right? Without hurting my industry, without hurting the dealerships. You know, because I came from independent shops, and independent shops are always trying to outdo the dealerships. What can they do differently that we're not?
Yeah.
You know, and they're actually the ones that keep us on our toes. Right.
There's lots of interactions actually. I think the competition between you guys is helpful.
Right.
I think it's bringing the industry forward rather than like making it shrink.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've been meeting a lot of independent shops as well, and I'm trying to appreciate like the crossovers, right? The sharing of knowledge of customers sometimes. Because it's at the end of the day, it's competition. It's competition.
Oh,
it's
of course.
not but I think it's the healthy kind.
Right, and that's why I remind my guys, we have to perform at the highest level. We are the top of the top.
Yeah.
Right? There is nothing above a dealership and, you know, with the retailer.
Yeah.
Manufacturer gives us all the training, gives us all the technology and software that we need so that we can repair these cars better than anybody could. There's some great independent shops out there, and some of them are ex-technicians that came from dealerships too. So, you know, good for them. But you know, it's like you said, it's something that keeps us on our toes, and we always have to be a couple steps ahead, and that's fine.
You gotta be honest with me.
Let's do it.
How good is my driving?
It's okay.
It's okay, man. Like I have a camera
Edit this
here.
out, but it can't be worse than my wife's driving.